We are back with the AEW side of the news today. And it starts with the spoiler alert. And this fact is that if you do not want to know, what happened at Double or Nothing, I will give you a warning when we start jumping into the spoilers, because we are not going to start with spoilers. We're going to start with the potential possibility of the AEW World Champion MJF sustaining an injury during the match at Double or Nothing, during a powerbomb, during a spot where he powerbombed Darby Allin out of the corner, off the top rope, or off the ropes, and it seemed like he messed up his wrist, as MJF was seen writhing in pain after the fact, and also having his wrist heavily taped during the media scrum. So there is a potential there that MJF may have sustained an injury, but also it could be a strained wrist, it could be a sprained wrist. And with the fact that MJF does not normally compete on regular TV, it could benefit him, ultimately, because it could keep him from having to vacate the world title, because the last thing AEW needs is returning to what happened last year with interim champions polluting the summertime. And I would say interim champions polluting the summertime because that is what happened last year, because I don't like the interim champion concept. I like having the real champions. Or, if the person's not going to be on the shelf too long, just having him keep the title. I know that AEW has the biggest card they've ever done coming up in August, so they have to keep people healthy, keep people together, with that being All In at Wembley. The fact of the matter is, it's the biggest card of AEW's history thus far, and nothing can change my opinion on that. It is unquestionable that Wembley is the biggest card AEW's done, and if anybody misses it, it would be an untimely thing for AEW, and an extremely unfortunate thing for AEW if anybody is injured prior to that event, even though Forbidden Door seems to have a poisoning effect to the AEW roster. I do hope MJF is okay and is not going to miss any time. And the same could be said for AEW Women's Champion Jamie Hayter, as the reason for the short match at Double or Nothing between Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm is because Jamie Hayter is nursing a few injuries. And the fact of the matter is, the injuries that were spoken about by Dave Meltzer early in the week on the Observer newsletter are, as he said, it is a fact that Jamie Hayter actually is injured. It just depended on the severity of the injury, and it seems like the severity of the injury was enough to where Jamie Hayter could not compete at Double or Nothing last night. And I mean, the proof is in the fact that Jamie Hayter did not actually compete. She was attacked backstage by Saraya and Ruby Soho, and basically beaten down before the bell. You know, she was basically beaten down before the bell, and it was not really a match. It was one of those, I know I may lose, but I'm gonna fight. I know I may lose, but I'm gonna fight. Type things from the babyface. It was a noble effort from Jamie Hayter, but I'm sure Jamie Hayter's gonna be missing some time after last night and nursing her injuries, getting back to full health. My only question is, what happens with the ongoing rivalry between the Outcast, Britt Baker, or the Outcast and the AEW Originals? Does Hikaru Shida find a new partner? Or do Hikaru Shida and Britt Baker have to find a new partner, with the fact that Jamie Hayter is set to miss some time? I honestly have no idea. Could Chris Statlander be the potential replacement? which again, we will get into that in a minute. But I also just want to note that longtime English promoter for All Star Wrestling, Brian Dixon, passed away over the weekend. I will be the first to admit that I don't know a lot about the UK wrestling scene. I don't know a lot about All Star Wrestling. I don't know about Brian Dixon's promotional exploits in the wrestling world. But what I do know is that the UK wrestling scene has housed and is responsible for giving wrestling some of the best in ring performers that the sport has ever seen. And without Brian Dixon putting in the effort and giving wrestling fans a stable presence in the world of professional wrestling for all those years, we would not have certain top stars or certain amazing athletes like William Regal, Dave Finlay. Hell, I'd even go back as far to say Dynamite Kid and the like, or in the people of that ilk. But the fact of the matter is, uh, but the fact of the matter is, the legacy. It is clear the legacy that Brian Dixon leaves behind, and I would like to send my deepest condolences to his family, friends, and fans. Brian spent his life, or Dixon's life, was spent in the wrestling world, and, the fact of the matter is, he's in the position to be one of the most well-known members of the wrestling world as far as that is concerned. And, it's never easy saying goodbye. It is never easy saying goodbye, but but the fact of the matter is, the oldest active wrestling promotion in the UK is still running 100%. 100% it is still running at the behest of Dixon's family member Joseph Almark. As Dixon passed, Dixon passed control to Joseph Almark in 2022. And it is crazy to think that Dixon actually started in ASW All-Star Wrestling as a referee back in the day. So, again, I would like to offer my deepest condolences to the family, friends, and fans of not just All-Star Wrestling, but of Brian Dixon. Don Callis update it'll be more of an official update on Dynamite, or once we hit Dynamite, but it seems like Don Callis is back and going to be appearing more or less here and there. And the reason why I wanted to do the update is not just because of Don Callis appearing, but also the fact that if you have not seen that sit-down interview with Don Callis and Jim Ross, it will give you insanely accurate background as to the history of Don Callis and Kenny Omega, and also it will give you a glimpse of just how good Don Callis is. He is promo gold when it comes to talking about anything and everything in the wrestling world, especially building an emotional attachment to and sympathy for the best bout machine, Kenny Omega. Speaking of Kenny Omega, following Anarchy in the Arena, Kenny Omega did say that 2 non-AEW friends are set to join the Elite, as Kenny Omega makes a call for help to even the odds against the BCC. And now it is when I hit you with the spoiler alert. If you are not looking for spoilers from Double or Nothing, turn off the video now, and I will see you in the next one. But if you are, stick around for just a minute, and I will deliver all the spoilers that you want from Double or Nothing as to what happened last night at the most recent AEW pay-per-view. And I'm glad you're still here, because Takeshita turned heel during the Anarchy in the Arena match, turned heel on Kenny Omega, and hit him with the patented screwdriver when he tried for the One-Winged Angel, when he was distracted by Don Callis, who set up the distraction for his new protege Takeshita. It seems like Takeshita and Don Callis are aligned. But Takeshita turned heel, attacking Kenny Omega, and now Takeshita finally has a little bit more personality and finally has the ability to show what he can do, because he was just this guy that everybody was praising, and I never understood why. Because, I understand good effort, but the fact of the matter is, a good effort doesn't mean you're capable of being world champion. Showing personality and coupling that with a good effort, that's more up for the world to see as far as being a world champion. Speaking of world champion, Orange Cassidy keeps his international title, winning the 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal. It's not the decision I would have made, but I understand the logic, and we will talk about that down the road as we get closer to the arrival of AEW Collision in less than a month. But now the main focus is Jade Cargill is no longer the TBS champion after defeating Taya Valkyrie. Mark Sterling issued an open challenge, and Jade Cargill lost the TBS championship belt to Chris Statlander. Statlander has been on the shelf since last fall, and she returned last night to defeat Jade Cargill for the TBS championship. And now, after the fact, Jade Cargill is set to take time off. That is the reason why they went with the title change last night, because Jade is going to be gone from television for the time being and may return as a babyface, as I believe it was Dave Meltzer who noted that a personality change could be coming for Jade Cargill upon her return after some time away from AEW, which I think would be a perfect way to follow up Jade's career after suffering her first loss, because for the last year and a half, since January 2022, the focus of Jade's career has been the undefeated streak. And now that the undefeated streak is gone, you gotta figure what happens next to Jade Cargill. But also now, with the fact that for the first time ever, somebody new is holding the TBS championship. Jade is thus far had been the first and only TBS champion, and now Chris Statlander is title holder number 2 for the TBS championship. So props to Chris for finally winning the gold. I hope this means we can have a long tenured run for Statlander, and not just as her as champion, but her staying healthy. With that being said, though, that is it for me, and I will see you in the next video.